We don't need a medical degree or a formal diagnosis to know whether somebody is draining our life force. Whether someone is a full-blown narcissist or just highly toxic, there are a lot of similarities within them. For the most part, they make everything about themselves. They like a lot of drama, and also they never take accountability, right? And obviously, if you really hone in on a proper diagnosis of a narcissist, we'll be here all day long, and I don't have time for that. But this video is just for people who are being difficult in your life. And yes, you will find these people. You will deal with these people in your lifetime. More than once, and I can bet on that, unless you live in a mountain with just wild animals. That's a different story. And also, I would like to mention that if you're somebody who thinks that someone is being difficult with you when they are stating a boundary and when they're standing up for what they truly believe in, and you think that is being difficult, this is not the video for that. Okay. Now, the reality of life is that if you're somebody who has a family member, a co-parent, an ex, you can't just wish them away and hope that they never come back. You have to change how you handle them, and that is what this video is going to be about. Being somebody who had phases of having an anxious attachment style and also an avoidant attachment style, I used to deal with difficult people in a way that in certain circumstances, you're meant to deal with it in that way. And that was what was best for me in that moment in time. But growing up and learning that, with difficult people, when you just cut them off 100%, and again, I feel like I do need to say this, certain people, you do need to cut them off 100% if they're being dangerous and if they're constantly harming you. That's a different category. But I'm just saying someone who is unaware and you are able to create space with them, not message them immediately. And so there are ways to go about it. And what I'm trying to say is that in the past, I would have totally cut somebody off. I wouldn't want to speak to them. I would block them. And that was my way of coping with things. And now I've realized, because I have two people in my life that I cannot run away from. They're there, and I'm connected to them forever. And so I have learned ways, and the reason I want to talk about this is because we are also in this culture now. Well, a lot of people talk about it where they cut their family off. It's a cold turkey because they don't agree with them, or they have had a couple disagreements or whatever that scenario is. I'm not going to generalize, but they have completely cut them off. And I also feel like they're valid in their ways of approaching that. But at the same time, I also feel like there is another way of doing things instead of just cutting people off. Because also one thing I've realized is that when you cut people off, again, this really depends on the dynamic of what it is. And maybe one day I'm going to make a very detailed, specific video of what I'm talking about. But my biggest takeaway from difficult people is that they are in our lives to teach us something very, very important that your soul has chosen to learn. And if you're going to run away from the lion and you're not going to face it, whatever that lesson you're meant to learn, maybe you're meant to face your fear in order to create boundaries with that person, whatever that thing is that you need to learn, you're going to miss that lesson. And so that dynamic is just going to be a negative story in your mind that this person is this and they did this to me and they're horrible and I'm the good one and I'm always being nice and I'm always being kind. And so that's what I used to do. But once I learned that, I asked myself, what is this person trying to teach me about myself? That is when everything, my entire perception changed. So I'm going to get a little bit deeper into this and give you guys some actionable steps that you can actually take and put it into practice. The trap that difficult people use to get you is they're either going to use explosive anger, or they're going to guilt you in order to make you back down. They bait you because they want What do they want? They want a reaction. They want your energy. It's an energy exchange that they're really looking for if you really take a look at this. And if you're somebody who is nice, you most probably are going to make excuses for their anger and for their horrible life, and it's so difficult. And of course they're acting like this, and that's okay. And every single human being on the planet is going to go through something difficult, something hard, something traumatic. It is inevitable. And so making somebody feel special because of their life and their problems are way bigger than yours or somebody else's, that is the loop. That is what they're trying to see. Is this person getting hooked to my story, to my anger, to my loudness? How do they respond to that? That's what they're looking for. And the mistake is when you start to argue with them. When you start to argue, when you start to cry, when you start to over-explain yourself, you want them to understand you so bad. That is exactly when you have lost. You're out of the game. That is when you have walked up to them and handed over your remote control and say, go on, you have the power over me, do whatever you please. Now, most toxic, narcissistic, whatever you want to call it, people, somebody who's being difficult with you, they're not able to understand where you're coming from. They lack something called empathy. They do not give a shit about your story. If you're talking to a person who is understanding, loving, and wants the best for you, they're going to be like, oh, wow, that's how I made you feel? I'm so sorry that I hurt you and I made you feel this way. I'm going to try to speak to you in this way next time. I did not mean that. I genuinely am so sorry. That is something you will never, ever hear from them unless they watch this video and copy what I'm saying, okay? And this one's huge. You do not need their agreement in order to set your boundary. They are never going to say this to you, which I know you're yearning for, which is, you're right. I apologize. It's never going to happen. So stop waiting for it. A boundary is a statement of not what they're going to do, of what you are going to do when it is crossed. What a lot of us are trying to do in these dynamics is that we're trying to heal a wound from our childhood. So, for example, maybe your parents or your mother never truly heard you. She never really listened to what you were saying, and she wasn't really present with you. And she always tried to make it about herself and have it her way. She never actually listened to you. What do you think about this? Why are you so upset? Let's talk about it. And when that happens, there's a dynamic of her not listening to you, and you are trying to over-explain to her and trying to please her in order for her to truly see you. So now this dynamic, usually what we do as men and women, it doesn't matter, I'm just using an example, we try to recreate that in our adult life. Because when we do this, we are trying for them to finally say, I see you, I love you, I care about you. We're trying to come full circle. We're trying to close that loop. Once we realize we're doing this, because I certainly noticed this about myself, I realized that I don't need this person to validate me or to tell me or to listen to me. I noticed in my previous dynamics that I was trying so hard to be seen, to be loved. Hold up. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Nazdeen Irani. And look, I'm not here to sugarcoat things. If you're tired of choosing people who cost you your self-respect, I need you to stop blaming them, because you're the one betraying yourself just to be accepted. If you're ready to stop making excuses and look in the mirror and finally choose differently, then hit subscribe and click the link below to apply for a private clarity session. Now let's get back into the video. I believe that people who choose well at the very beginning, they are most probably going to have more longevity in the relationship, because they're going to be looking for compatibility. They're no longer looking for chemistry and to have butterflies and how great is, XYZ. They are looking at, how does his life, how is my life? Are we able to mesh our worlds? So those people are focusing on something completely different when they're dating. Whereas people who are lacking standards and boundaries, they are focusing on something completely different. They're looking at, is he rich? Does he have the right height? His hair, is he balding? And we're focusing on all of these things, which I understand. To some people, it's important. But when you really think about it, as we're getting old, we're going to lose hair. All of us are going to lose hair. All of us are going to look crazy and wrinkly. So it's like, what the hell is the point of all this? So how do we actually deal with these type of people? Here are 4 rules that I want you to write down. Keep it in the back of your mind when maybe you're dating or someone in your family is out there, they're going to trigger you. The first rule is to stop reacting. When they say something, you are going to take a deep breath and observe. And I'm going to tell you actually later on, I'm going to give you a little script as well, but I'm just going to start off with this. So, because when you react, they then control your emotions. And that is when they pull you into their chaos. This is exactly when I need you to hold your power. Secondly, as I just mentioned, breathe. Just breathe. And I know maybe at the very beginning it's going to feel a little bit awkward because, if you're somebody who always needs to say something on every single, you don't like quiet in a conversation, you feel like it's awkward and who's going to say what? And you're overthinking when you just like, shush, just don't talk for a little bit. Like, just enjoy the silence. And I think I've learned this as I've grown older, obviously. So maybe you have to get a little bit older. And also count to 5 in your head before responding, because usually what you want to say right that second is not going to be beneficial to you, especially again, if you're somebody who is starting off to deal with these type of people in a effective way. And also think before you speak. I know it's so easy and so simple, but a lot of us do not think about the consequences of what we're saying, and you don't think, oh, when I say this, it's going to trigger a defense from them, or it's going to get us pulled into their chaos. And so we never really think about what's coming out of our mouth. So I would highly recommend to think before you speak, as well as more words means you're defending, and it is falling on deaf ears. That person doesn't give a shit. Actually, no, that's not true. It's not falling on deaf ears. That's incorrect. They are going to use that information, whatever you're giving them. They have, compartmentalizing it in their head. They have like a little log of all the things that you have said, and they're going to weaponize it at a point where you're feeling down and out, or they need to use it to manipulate you. So that's incorrect. It's not going on deaf ears. They're very, very smart that way. But what I meant to say with deaf ears is that you trying to explain to them is not going to create some sort of, oh, is that how you feel? I'm so sorry. It's not going to create empathy in them. That's what I was trying to say. Rule number 3, and this one is a difficult one, but they are your biggest teachers. They are showing you how to stay calm and respectful as you're stating your boundary, how to stand up for yourself, how to respect yourself, how to not get pulled into their chaos and fall in their trap that they're happily setting out for you. Instead of matching their anger, I want you, again, this takes practice and kind of stepping away from that situation, but I want you to, instead of matching their anger, I want you to send them love, because they really need it. This is another lesson where a lot of us tend to hate people and we don't necessarily like them, or we make fun of them or judge them or whatever it is. And that as well is a test, because you're, again, even though you're not getting pulled into their drama, or maybe you have said something to them and you've walked away. But even that, when you're judging them after and you're, hating on them or whatever it is, you are still connected to that chaos. So do not think that just because you hate somebody makes you at peace and you're able to manifest things in your life. The vibration of hate and anger is on a lower frequency. So it's actually going to hold you back from manifesting whatever the hell you want to manifest. I really wouldn't be here if I did not deal with and meet difficult, narcissistic people in my path. I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't try to help the world, help people. And that is why I want us to really look at them in a different light. Rule number 4, and this one is huge: stop managing their chaos. You are responsible for your boundary, not their reaction. Let them be angry. Let them be uncomfortable. Your job is to focus on your peace. Because a lot of people, again, because they like to be victims, a lot of them, and they could also try to be a victim in order to make you feel bad about what you just said or did. And that, again, is another test to see, hey, is this person able to state a boundary and then revert back to their old way? So always see and observe, why are they seeing this to me? What is their intention behind it? Now, there are a lot of scripts out there to deal with these type of people. And again, everybody's situation is so different. If you do have something where you're like, please, I need help with this, put it down below so I can think about it and give you a good answer, because I would love to help you out and also see what are people struggling with right now. So this is what you can use if someone is yelling at you and being aggressive. I want to have this conversation, but not in this tone. Let's connect later when we both are calm. Then hang up the phone and walk out the room. Do not stay there, because there's going to be a response to that. Now, this is when they're trying to drag you into their drama and play games. I hear what you're saying, but I'm not going to argue about this. I'm stepping away from this conversation now. Statistics show that over 70% of difficult communication completely stops the moment one person calmly removes themselves from the immediate environment. So you have to be the one to break the circuit. That's it for me today. I really hope that this video has been of value to you. And I want you to always remember to stop choosing the chase and start choosing your peace. I love you, and I'll see you in the next video.